There's a certain kind of language you hear from struggling basketball coaches and nervous sports executives everywhere. It's frustrating, predictable, and hard to listen to. It's full of vague statements, safe wording, and carefully crafted answers meant to avoid real accountability. Instead of being honest, it often feels like they're talking around the issue and expecting fans to just accept it. When a coaching staff makes an obvious mistake on a big stage, they almost never step up and admit it. You won't hear them say they got it wrong. You won't see them openly acknowledge that their outdated approach didn't work. Instead, they lean on buzzwords, talking about team chemistry, rotations, or small sample sizes, as if those phrases can explain everything away. If you want a perfect example of this kind of behavior, look no further than the post-game press conference after Team USA's 84-7 win over Spain in the FIBA World Cup qualifying championship game. That moment says a lot. Interim head coach Nate Tibbetts stood in front of the media and offered a series of explanations for benching Caitlin Clark, explanations that, frankly, came off as uncomfortable and hard to defend. What we're going to do here is break that down piece by piece. We're going to remove the polished language and look at what actually happened on the court. We'll also take a closer look at how Spain approached the game defensively and why internal decisions within Team USA seem to be holding them back. To understand the situation, we need to go back just 48 hours before that championship game. In the previous matchup against New Zealand, the coaching staff finally made the obvious move. They put Caitlin Clark into the starting lineup. The result? A dominant 55-point win. It wasn't just a win, it was complete control from start to finish. The offense looked fast, sharp, and unstoppable. Clark didn't miss a shot from inside the arc, controlled the tempo, and finished with a remarkable plus 24 rating. Everything clicked. The ideal lineup had clearly been found. But then came the championship game against a strong and well-prepared Spanish team. Instead of building on what worked, the coaching staff went back to their previous approach. They removed their most dangerous offensive player from the starting lineup, and the impact of that decision showed immediately as the game began. Nate Tibbetts himself described how the opening moments played out, and his own words reveal more than he may have intended.
This was our fifth game in I think 7 days, just like everybody else. They had a disappointing loss last game, and they came out and set the tone. They played a bunch of zone against us. I thought as the game went on, we did a better job with the zone, but give them credit and then also give...
Every basketball fan should take a moment to really think about what the coach admitted. Spain opened the game using a zone defense. In international basketball, that choice is very specific. Teams rely on a zone when they know they can't keep up physically in one-on-one matchups. So instead, they protect the middle. They crowd the area near the basket, cut off driving lanes, and force the opposing team to shoot from the outside. This kind of defense challenges your patience, your spacing, and most importantly, your ability to shoot from distance. So if you're a coach and you know your opponent is going to pack the paint like that, the response is simple. You put your best perimeter shooter on the floor. You use the player who can stretch the defense, pull defenders out, and create space for everyone else. By leaving Caitlin Clark on the bench against a zone defense, Tibbetts made a serious tactical mistake. Instead, the team relied on players who prefer driving to the basket and operating in slower half-court sets. That plays right into a zone defense. Spain didn't have to adjust. They stayed comfortable, protected the paint, and disrupted the flow of the American offense. Without a deep shooting threat to worry about, Spain could sit back, clog passing lanes, and turn the game into a slow, uneven struggle. The offense lost its rhythm. It became disorganized and hard to watch at times. Tibbetts said Spain set the tone early. But the truth is, they were able to do that because Team USA didn't put its best tone setter on the floor. It's like going out into a storm without the one thing that would actually keep you dry, just to test something less effective. It doesn't make sense, and it puts you at a disadvantage from the start. But the most uncomfortable moment of the press conference came later. A reporter gave Tibbetts a clear chance to recognize the standout players of the tournament. The question practically invited him to highlight the young stars who had clearly delivered strong performances and led the stat sheets. Instead of acknowledging their impact, he avoided giving direct credit and offered another explanation, one that will likely be remembered as a poor response in a moment that called for honesty.
I don't think I was surprised or disappointed by anyone. I think everyone, they played like who they are, in my opinion. I think part of our challenge as a coaching staff is just looking at different lineups, and I think that's why you saw us change the units as the games went on. And I think as the competition gets better, as you start to move forward, that's why you need those sample sizes and things that you've looked at.
Sample sizes. He benched the tournament leader in total points and total assists in a championship game because he needed sample sizes. Let us absolutely destroy the logic of this statement. You conduct experiments in training camp. You look for sample sizes during closed-door scrimmages. You do not treat the championship game of a FIBA World Cup qualifying tournament against the second-best team in your bracket like a middle school science fair project. Furthermore, what possible sample size did the coaching staff need that they didn't already possess? They already had the sample size of the traditional veteran-heavy starting lineup from the first 2 games, and it resulted in clunky, slow-paced, grinding basketball. They already had the sample size of Caitlin Clark running the offense as a starter against New Zealand, and it resulted in a 55-point flawless domination. The data was already collected. The hypothesis was already proven. When a coach uses the phrase sample size to justify benching a generational superstar, what he is actually saying is, we are terrified of upsetting the political hierarchy of this locker room. So, we are going to continue to shuffle the rotations to make sure all the veterans get their guaranteed minutes, even if it actively hurts our offensive efficiency. It is a bureaucratic smokescreen designed to cover up a complete lack of leadership. And if you want further proof of this deeply ingrained political hierarchy, you only need to listen to the comments made by veteran Kelsey Plum during this exact same press conference. Plum was asked about the integration of the young superstars Clark, Paige Buchers, and Angel Reese. Her response was a masterclass in passive-aggressive, veteran-coded messaging.
Obviously, technically, they're young, but they played in a lot of big games and big stages before, so they're not afraid of this moment. And I think Team USA, everyone, I think, did an incredible job of just figuring out how to pick their spots. Obviously, you want to be aggressive and be yourself. Coach talks about that, be yourself, but also be yourself within the team dynamic. And, it's all a learning process. Ka, I remember, that gold medal game, Ka had a massive impact in winning that game, right? And she's someone that's not afraid of the moment. Same with Chelsea, same with Jack, Dearica. Obviously, we've won together, so there's a different level of chemistry. And, when we talk about chemistry, that's, I think, the biggest factor personally playing in these games, because, a lot of these teams get an opportunity to practice with each other, play with each other year round, and we are kind of playing against each other, and then we kind of get put in a situation where it's high stakes, high pressure, and you really have to form that chemistry. So those moments where you can kind of reflect back to those behind the back passes that Chelsea makes and stuff, people are going to be in those certain times. It's just because we've had years of experience.
Chemistry. It is the ultimate crutch for a struggling system. Plum is claiming that the veterans closed the game because they have years of experience playing together. But let us look at the actual mathematical reality of that chemistry against the Spanish zone defense. The veteran chemistry resulted in a stagnant, sloppy, highly vulnerable first half where the United States was completely unable to pull away from the opponent. The veteran chemistry resulted in Kalia Copper having to play exhausting, heroic isolation basketball just to bail out the shot clock. You know what actually broke the Spanish defense? It wasn't veteran chemistry. It was the undeniable playmaking gravity of the 22-year-old point guard, who was forced to come off the bench. If you look at the official box score from this 84-70 victory, Caitlin Clark played 22 minutes. She only scored 7 points. The establishment will look at that and say, see, she struggled. But the establishment completely ignores the other column on the stat sheet. She finished the game with 7 assists. She led the entire roster in playmaking. She only committed 1 turnover. While the veterans were relying on years of experience to hit heavily contested isolation jumpers, Caitlin Clark was systematically picking apart the Spanish zone defense with surgical precision. She was drawing double teams, manipulating defensive rotations with her eyes, and spoon-feeding her teammates wide-open layups and uncontested corner threes. The veterans scored the points, but Caitlin Clark engineered the offense. She generated the easy looks that the so-called veteran chemistry was completely failing to produce on its own. This post-game press conference is a microcosm of the entire war currently being fought for the soul of women's basketball. We are watching an established, deeply entrenched hierarchy absolutely terrified of the generational anomaly that has arrived on their doorstep. The coaching staff is terrified to hand her the keys because it would mean admitting that their traditional, slow-paced systems are obsolete. The veterans are terrified to fully embrace her pace because it would mean surrendering their offensive dominance. So they hide behind excuses. They talk about sample sizes and picking your spots. They bench her in championship games and then claim it was a necessary tactical experiment. But the excuses are running out. The FIBA World Cup qualifying tournament is over. The international exhibition season has concluded. The next time Caitlin Clark steps onto a professional basketball court, she will not be wearing a Team USA jersey, and she will not be subjected to the political whims of an interim head coach desperate to appease a veteran locker room. She is going to put on an Indiana Fever uniform. And when that highly anticipated, fiercely competitive WNBA season finally tips off, there will be no more talk of sample sizes. There will be no more off-ball decoy assignments. She is going to be handed the absolute, undisputed control of a professional franchise. The rest of the league, the veteran players who claim to possess superior chemistry and the coaches who believe they can scheme against her, are about to face an undeniable reality. When you take the ultimate offensive weapon off the leash, when you surround her with a system that actually encourages her transition pace and her logo range, the results are going to be catastrophic for the opposition. The Team USA coaching staff tried to put a silencer on her, and she still led the tournament in assists. Imagine what she is going to do when she is finally allowed to make some noise. Thank you for joining me in the film room today to cut through the bureaucratic nonsense and expose the actual tactical truths of the sport. We refuse to accept the coach speak. We do not tolerate media spin, and we will always prioritize the undeniable reality of the box score and the game tape. If you want the most ruthless, analytical, and uncompromising basketball content on the platform, make sure you smash that subscribe button and drop a like on this video. Let me know in the comments section below, is Nate Tibbetts' sample size excuse the most embarrassing coaching deflection of the year? And will the veteran hierarchy of Team USA eventually be forced to surrender control of the offense to Caitlin Clark by the time the Olympics arrive? I will see you in the next breakdown.